Pole tu.
Mimi alisema alikuja kwa hospitali yako akamwambia wewe mimi amgetaka kijana, lakini sababu mimi alikuwa amefanyiwa scan akabata mimi atabata msijana na ningetaka kijana, wewe akanimwambia hakuna problem, wewe ataorganize. Wacha kuruka mimi. Jen,
mimi si nakuruka na mna
wewe ni wacha kuruka mimi.
Wacha uongo.
Umesema ni kitu inaendelea katika hiyo hospitali.
Si ndio na wewe si ndio unafanyanga?
Mimi.
Si ndio? Nani mwingine anafanyanga? Sasa mama, hawa watafungwa.
Hiyo si kazi yako.
Oh, it's not your job.
KDIC, safer, stronger together.
Bye-bye to FOMO, the fear of missing out, by downloading the KBC Online app that gives you access to everything you love. Get the latest news, sports, music, entertainment news, live TV, live radio, and so much more at the palm of your hands. To get the app, simply search KBC Mobile Digital app in your Google Play or App Store and download the app. Catch what you want, anytime, anywhere. Stay connected. Stay ahead with KBC Mobile Digital app.
Money, it's the root. Money, it's the fruit. Anyway you see me come around, oh. Anyway you see me come around, I'm proud to be black.
Ushakala who make the dance all pay. Ushakala who make the people them a rock.
Tell them the tourists, live life to the fullest. How you expect we gone away if you say down by your place?
I grew up in a place called Ensom City. Spanish town grooving, everybody nice.
We will be shining, shining. It could even be the darkest night. Get up, stand up for your right. Get up, stand up.
Welcome to the Kenya Deposit Insurance Corporation, or KDIC, a state corporation established under the KDI Act Cap 487C. But who exactly are we? KDIC provides a deposit insurance for customers of member institutions. This means we protect your hard-earned money deposited in banks, giving you peace of mind knowing that your savings are safe. KDIC is also mandated to receive, liquidate, and wind up troubled banks, as well as provide incentives for sound risk management. We are here to protect your bank deposit and, together with other safety net players, ensure a stable financial system. KDIC, safer, stronger together.
Good evening and welcome to Prime Edition. Tomorrow, a very important decision will be made by the High Court, and that is to lift the conservatory orders or not. If the conservatory orders are removed, it means then that Kithure Kindiki will be sworn in as the next deputy president. If they are not, it's a lifeline for the impeached deputy president Rigathi Gachagua, who hopes that that will be the case. And we have details lined up for you tonight.
Yes, including that as well, and also a very colorful wedding, Diwali celebrations, I should say, that took place today at State House, Nairobi.
Absolutely.
That and so much more is what you have covered down for you this Wednesday night.
Yeah, our tonight's highlights. Two directors of a private school in Uasin Gishu arrested for administering fake exam papers in the ongoing Kenya Primary School Education Assessment, KPSEA. 13 million Kenyans so far registered as members of the Social Health Authority as government addresses the challenge that necessitated upfront payment of services.
We have faith that our judiciary will protect and uphold the Constitution of Kenya and will exercise fairness.
And countdown to a crucial ruling. Impeached Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua exudes confidence that the judiciary will come through for him.
Many thanks for making time for us. I'm Doreen Arange. Lucy Maura is our sign language interpreter.
And my name is John Jacob Kioria. Let's begin with a top story tonight, where the government has dropped the requirement for upfront payment for patients visiting hospitals and the Social Health Authority, SHA, and are unemployed.
This was revealed by Medical Services Principal Secretary Harry Kimutai, who says the decision will allow for smoother implementation, even as he disclosed they have set up a multi-sectoral committee comprising of national and county government officials to fast-track the process of addressing challenges in implementation of the health fund.
At the same time, he says they have registered 13.3 million Kenyans on the platform and released 4.5 billion shillings to cater for medical bills under the program.
Kasichana Masha with the details.
The Ministry of Health says implementation of the Social Health Insurance Fund is on course, and they have put in place a multi-sectoral team comprising of health CECs, ministry officials and Nyumba Kumi officials to fast-track implementation and mobilize Kenyans to register on the platform.
This team is also going to form what's called the technical committee within the counties that will include the ICT officers, the technicians from the service providers, and the officers from the Social Health Authority, where they will ensure that they will visit each and every facility and ensure that citizens are receiving services under the Social Health Authority.
Principal Secretary for Medical Services Harry Kimutai, issuing an update on Wednesday, said the government has so far released funds to cater for medical bills of patients, and more funds will be released next week.
We have released 4.5 billion last week, and the facilities can confirm that if they have received payments. This week we are releasing another 4.5 billion Kenya shillings, and that will make a total of 9 billion Kenya shillings that will be released for payment or debts that we owe these facilities.
Additionally, Kimutai revealed the government had removed the requirement for upfront payment for those who registered under SHA and are unemployed until the ministry gets an insurance premium financing model.
And once the insurance premium financing model is ready, then we'll urge them now to pay their premiums upfront based on the financing agreement they will enter with either the cooperative societies, the SACCOs, or some of the financial institutions who are coming in to support us in the rollout of SHA.
Kimutai urged contracted facilities to comply with the authority's regulations or risk termination of contracts.
Contracted under SHA, they should be able to provide services under SHA, not demand upfront payment where the citizens who have registered under SHA and paid their premiums are denied services and told to pay upfront. That is where we are differing with those facilities.
The government rolled out the new health financing model on 1st of October, in which those in employment contribute 2.75% of their gross pay to the kitty. Kasichana Masha, Prime Edition.
Some reprieve there for Kenyans who are not employed, as now they will be getting services at the facilities.
Absolutely, and I think it's a big prayer for some of the people who have had to pay upfront. And of course, sometimes those who don't have money have not had to receive that treatment.
Yes.
So some good news for them.
Yeah. All right, moving on, President William Ruto has announced that the government will consider a request from the Hindu community to officially recognize Diwali as a national holiday.
He spoke at the first ever Diwali celebrations held at the State House, Nairobi, and the president committed to addressing this request through the appropriate channels ahead of next year's festivities. So if you're hoping for a holiday this Friday, some bad news.
It was a scene of joy and color at State House, Nairobi, as President William Ruto hosted a historic Diwali celebration, uniting leaders from the Indian community and government officials. President Ruto says the moment to highlight the importance of inclusivity and cultural diversity in Kenya.
Sab kuch tihi. For the first time, we are celebrating this occasion of Diwali here in State House as a recognition. These values transcend any single culture, the values that we all believe in. They resonate with all of us and drive our collective efforts to build a prosperous, united, and inclusive nation. I am humbled to be associated with a festival that has a history spanning 5,000 years. I feel both privileged and proud that our country is enriched with such a wealth of cultures, traditions, and religion.
The Hindu community took this opportunity to formally request that November 1st be declared a public holiday to allow more Kenyans to participate in the vibrant celebrations.
In all sincerity, we feel that being part of this culture of this country, we want to celebrate Diwali with the rest of the Kenyans. Not only within ourselves, but we feel part of this country. And we feel a Hindu public holiday would just make us feel proud to be Kenyans, and we want to celebrate with all of you.
As a community, feel a sense of belonging to this country. Be part of Kenya in every respect, because you have no spare country.
President William Ruto announced that the government will consider the request of the Hindu community to make Diwali a national holiday.
I will undertake to subject it to the process of government. The Speaker is here. If it has to happen, it has to go all the way to Parliament. But I want to assure you that we will have made a decision by the next Diwali.
Ruto emphasized the government's commitment to safeguard the right to worship for all Kenyans, urging citizens to dismiss any negative narratives surrounding religious freedoms.
We will protect, by all means possible, the sacred provision of the right to worship by all Kenyans and all religions. And that there will be no interference whatsoever. There will be no limitations whatsoever.
Dr. Bimal Kantaria, the National Trustee of the Hindu Council of Kenya, invited all Kenyans to join in the Diwali festivities, which will officially begin on November 1st and continue through November 2nd, 2024.
Mr. President, Your Excellency, the Hindu community stands beside you. And with all Kenyans united in our shared goal of building a stronger, more inclusive Kenya, we are proud to be part of the nation's story. And we look forward to continuing our story together towards the light, towards a path towards progress and prosperity.
As Diwali, or the Festival of Lights, approaches, Hindu community across the world prepare to mark this significant holiday with joy, fireworks, and a renewed spirit of togetherness. Ben Chumba, Prime Edition.
Let's visit one of our top stories. And two directors of a Silver Bells Academy in Uasin Gishu County have been arrested for administering fake Kenya Primary School Education Assessment KBC examination to 23 candidates.
The two, a woman and his son, were arrested after security and education officials stormed the facility where the unsuspecting pupils were undertaking the examinations.
State of confusion has engulfed parents and pupils of the Silver Bells Academy in Uasin Gishu County after it emerged that 23 candidates wrote fake Kenya Primary School Education Assessment KPSEA examinations.
Wakati kwa tukifunga container, kuna mzazi mmoja alikuja kuripoti kuwa ameona vitu tofauti zikifanyika katika shule yake. Watoto wanachelewa kufanya mtihani na nadhani kuna vitu zinafanyika.
A woman and her son, who reportedly the owners of the school, were apprehended on Wednesday afternoon after education and security officials raided the school where the students were writing the fake examinations.
Tukifika hapa tukagundua kuwa kuna shule inajipendekeza kuwa inafanya mtihani na kuna mtihani inaendelea.
Confirming the incident, Uasin Gishu County Director of Education Gitonga Thiringi further revealed that the institution was not registered as an examination center.
Tuligundua shule haijakuwa registered na watoto pia hawajakuwa registered kufanya mtihani. Na mwalimu mkuu na wenye shule walikuwa wakipatia watoto mtihani gushi wakisema kuwa ni mtihani ya NEC.
Subsequently, Gitonga has ordered an immediate crackdown on schools in the region to eradicate masqueraders in the education sector.
From now, we are going to ensure that this center is permanently closed as we do placement of other learners to our public schools.
The fate of the 23 children now hangs in the balance as the authorities work to assess the implications of the incident on their academic journey.
We are consulting with our NEC officers who are on the ground so that we can advise the parents accordingly.
John Kahiro, Prime Edition.
Elsewhere, a second suspect has been arrested in connection with the murder of Willis Ayeko, the Wells Fargo human resource manager.
Police say the woman was arrested with her boyfriend, who is the main suspect in the murder case.
The man escaped with gunshot wounds.
Police have urged hospitals in the area to alert them if they receive a person with gunshot wounds in their facilities.
Meanwhile, Victor Okoth Ouma has been remanded for 21 days pending investigations.
Victor Okoth Ouma, who was arrested in Dandora, Nairobi, will be detained at the Railways Police Station in Kisumu following a court order.
Ouma was allegedly caught with the late Ayeko's firearm.
A woman who is the second suspect in the murder of Wells Fargo human manager Willis Ayeko has been arrested in Siaya. The woman was arrested in company of her boyfriend. The man, who is said to be her boyfriend and the main suspect in the case, escaped with gunshot wounds following an exchange of fire in Wagai Game constituency. This comes as a 25-year-old Victor Okoth Ouma, one of the suspects in the murder, is remanded for 21 days to allow the police to complete investigations. This is after the prosecution convinced the court to deny him bail.
Due to the nature of the offense and how it was committed, the deceased family, friends and community are angry and they may harm the respondent if he is released.
Meanwhile, in Narok County, police have arrested a murder suspect allegedly captured on CCTV footage in Narok town a few weeks ago.
Leo tuna furaha ya kujulisha kukamatwa kwa mshukiwa mkuu wa mauaji ambayo yanafanyika hapa Narok.
Narok County Police Commander Rico Ngare said the suspect, nicknamed as Lolunga, has been on the police radar for a month and is also linked to other murder cases.
Wako wengi hawa Lolunga. Wawili tayari wako jela. Huyu sasa tumemshika na bado kuna wakaribu 4. Wote wanajiita hili jina la utani Ololunga.
In Kisumu County, security agents arrested 12 suspects and recovered 26 phones and 22 motorbikes suspected to be used by criminal elements posing as bodaboda operators. This comes as security officers beef up security in the region.
Naomba wananchi, kama simu yako imeibiwa kuanzia mwezi wa 8 mwezi wa 9 na mwezi wa 10. Simu ziko Kondele mingi, ziko Kondele hapa Central, Kondele na Central. Siko mingi, simu mingi sana. Kuja tu identify yako, lete tu ile ka box ambayo iko na EMI na nini. Utaonyeshwa simu yako, na wale watu ambao tumeshika nao tutakuwa na nguvu ya kuwapeleka kotini vizuri.
Giverson Maina, Prime Edition.
Well, that story takes us to our first breather on Prime Edition. Don't go too far when you come back. Wairimo Jenga and Karen Kibet will be bringing us up to speed with what is happening in business and sports, but that is after we tell you what else has been happening across the country.
Mapato ya jasho lako, faida ya nguvu zako, na juhudi za kila siku kuboresha maisha yako. KBC ndio ngao ya jasho lako. KBC linzi wa akiba yako. Relax, akiba yako iko salama.
KDIC, safer, stronger together.
Are you a holder of unclaimed financial assets? All holders are notified to report and surrender unclaimed financial assets to the Unclaimed Financial Assets Authority, UFAA, on or before November 1st, 2024. It is now easier to report and surrender. Visit www.ufaa.go.ke and get started to beat the November 1st deadline. It's your turn. Report and surrender today. Please note that failure to report and surrender qualifying unclaimed financial assets attract penalties and sanctions in line with Section 33 of the UFA Act 2011. UFAA. Receive, safeguard, reunite.
Rahisisha uwezo wako wa ushindi kwa kukuwa memba wa Loto Moto, na ni rahisi. Dial *570#, chagua option 1. Ukiwa memba ni rahisi kufika kwenye jukwaa hili ili kujaribu mchezo wetu wa Loto Moto Show. Na pia kama memba unajipa nafasi rahisi ya kuingia kwenye promotion zetu zinazokupa nafasi ya kujishindia chapaa na zawadi kibao kama TV, friji, pikipiki, mashamba na pia magari. Kuwa memba ni *570# option 1. Tushinde kama members.
Welcome back. And now the former Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission boss, James Oswago, and his deputy suffered a blow after the High Court upheld their conviction and 4-year sentence in the irregular award of 1.3 billion shillings tender supply of voter materials in the 2013 general elections.
In his ruling, Justice Professor Nixon Sifuna said the duo were culpable as they had the responsibility to ensure procurement laws are followed.
Details in the Scales of Justice segment.
Oswago and his deputy, the secretary in charge of support services, Wilson Kiprotich Shulei, had been found guilty in 2022 by trial magistrate Felix Kombo. The duo were convicted on 2 counts of willful failure to comply with procurement laws by awarding a contract to Face Technologies Limited for supply of electronic voter identification and misuse of their positions. Justice Professor Nixon Sifuna, while delivering his judgment on Wednesday, said he found the prosecution had proved its case against the two beyond any reasonable doubt, upholding their sentencing. Elsewhere, a case seeking to dissolve parliament before a 5-judge bench was adjourned prematurely after some parties claimed they had not been served with documentary materials to be used in the case.
I'm sorry,
There was a bit of drama as lawyer Nelson Harvey stormed out of the courtroom in protest. The case, which is being heard by a 5-judge bench comprising of Justices Moses Ado, Nyaundi Patricia Mande, Lawrence Mogambe, Jairus Nga, and Lady Justice Oya Tabitha Wanyama retired, will now be heard on 14th December.
There is an application on record by Mr. Harvey, and there are parties who are alleging that they have not been served with that record of appeal. I think by responding to it, you are going to put on record, Ms. Ashley, the information that already an appeal has been filed, and it was filed within the time prescribed by the Court of Appeal. So that there should be no dispute as to whether there is an existing appeal or not, and that there should be no doubt whether there are orders in place staying these proceedings.
Ruth Wamboi for Prime Edition.
And the Kenya Broadcasting Corporation KBC first female managing director Agnes Kaleche assumed office on Wednesday with a pledge to revamp the public broadcaster.
In her maiden speech, Kaleche pledged to engage the staff and streamline affairs of the corporation.
The KBC board, through its chairman Tom Mushindi, also welcomed her to office and pledging fully to support her.
Yusuf Farah with the details of her first day in office.
After nearly 2 years without a substantive managing director, Kenya Broadcasting Corporation has a new managing director, Agnes Kaleche. Kaleche makes history as the first female managing director at the state broadcaster. And as she joined KBC, the new MD pledged to take the national broadcaster to the next level.
On the 25th, the court issued a stay. And I'm here. I've reported back. I've signed my contract. And I'm excited to take this broadcasting to higher heights. So for us, we'll just work with the staff to see what they have and, improve on the processes and what they. The
board chairman, Tom Shindi, expressed confidence in her leadership as she took over the mantle.
It's a very exciting time for us. It's a time of change. It's a time to really start giving the corporation a new face, a new brand, a refreshed appearance and relevance to the communities of these countries.
Kaleche takes over from acting managing director Florence Migunde, who was appointed a month ago after the tenure of Paul Masharia, who was acting, came to an end.
I've been holding brief for you, and I have done a good job, and I know you will continue and doing better.
Kaleche was appointed in May last year for a 3-year period, but did not assume office immediately owing to a court case that has since been concluded.
Turning the crack to some education matters now, and university lecturers' strike entered its second day Wednesday, despite an order by the Employment and Labour Relations Court declaring the strike illegal.
Lecturers in public universities in parts of the country took to the streets, faulting the government for failing to honour the return to work formula signed on the 26th of September.
Our reporter Khalid Abdullahi has the details as the government called for lecturers back to the negotiating table on Wednesday in a bid to unlock the impasse.
The directive by the Employment and Labour Relations Court, following an application by the Interpublic Universities Council Consultative Forum of the Federation of Employers declaring the strike unprotected, appeared not to deter lecturers in parts of the country. This was the situation in Kisii University on Wednesday. Academic staff took to the streets in defiance of the court order, vowing not to relent until the government honour their return to work formula and to increase their salaries between 7 to 10%.
We are not going back to class. We have been taken for granted for too long. This time round, we must have our issues sorted, and sorted immediately.
A similar situation at Tomboya University as dons insist not to call off the strike.
We are telling the Secretary General, that is Dr. Wasonga, Constantine Wasonga, PhD, that he should not allow people to go back if money has not hit our bank account. This time, the NEC must sit together and resolve this issue, not that the national office on themselves will resolve this issue.
Justice Agnes Nzei, in her ruling declaring the strike unprotected, banned UASU officials from calling or inciting its members to a strike regarding matters that were subject of negotiations as part of the return to work formula signed on the 26th of September 2024. The court also ordered the two parties to return to the negotiating table in good faith, setting the date for the mentioning of the case on the 28th of November 2024 from the 5th of November 2024.
And of course, to a story that will shape the news tomorrow, impeached Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has expressed his confidence in the judiciary concerning his impeachment cases that are before the court of law.
Speaking after attending a burial ceremony in Limuru, Gachagua exuded confidence in the legal system to uphold justice in his appeal contesting his dismissal from office.
At the same time, he's called on Kenyans to remain peaceful irrespective of the outcome of the cases tomorrow.
We have faith that our judiciary will protect and uphold the Constitution of Kenya and will exercise fairness and give justice to Rigathi Gachagua and his supporters. That is our prayer. But I want to ask for peace. More so to my people of the Mount Kenya region, please remain peaceful. Love one another. Stay well with all other regions and communities. They have not wronged us. They are our friends. Kenya is bigger than all of us. And we don't have another Kenya. We only have one Kenya. And I want to say, irrespective of what will happen, the outcome of the court process, let our people remain peaceful and build our country. A time will come for us to speak.
Largely, tomorrow is not really much about the outcome of the case he has filed in court, because there are several and have been consolidated.
Yeah, into one.
But what will be ruled tomorrow by the three-judge bench could as well seal his fate moving forward, because the state wants the conservatory orders, really, that were implemented yesterday or put in place last week by Judge Richard Mongo and Chacha Mwita to be lifted, which would mean then it would pave the way for the swearing in of Professor Kithure Kindiki as the next deputy president. But if that does not happen, it means the legal battle continues and Gachagua continues to remain as an impeached deputy president without another substantive DP.
Indeed, and that matter will be had tomorrow at 2:30 p.m. That's where our focus will be at tomorrow, to just see how that will pan out from the ruling from three-judge bench in regards to that particular matter. And now to some health matters. Banissa Sub-County Referral Hospital in Mandera has successfully performed the first cesarean section.
This comes after the hospital was upgraded to a level 4 referral facility with the aim of improving maternal health care and emergency services to the residents of Banissa constituency.
Our reporter Tess Mutai has details of the win for mothers in the constituency more than 60 years after independence.
In a newly improved theatre in Banissa Sub-County Referral Hospital, the surgical team lays out their tools to perform a first ever cesarean section at the facility. The team, in a precise manner, begin by putting on their gloves. They sterilize the operating tools, adjust the operating lights and monitors. Then they finally proceed to make the first incision that will safely bring forth the newborn. In just a short while, a 4.1 kg bouncing baby boy is delivered safely and wrapped in warm clothing. This is a major milestone for healthcare in Banissa, as the achievement marks a crucial advancement in maternal healthcare and emergency services for families in the region who have often faced difficulties owing to the lack of adequate public facilities for specialized care for expectant mothers.
We used to have several challenges that we send our mothers during labor, obstructed labor and other obstetric emergencies to the nearby sub-counties, to Mandera, to Takaba, having a sleepless night, sometimes that now becomes a challenge that raise to the neonatal and maternal mortality rate.
Dr. Abdullahi Yadan, the hospital's medical superintendent and lead surgeon, encouraged the local community to utilize the hospital's new services, emphasizing that a range of healthcare options are now available locally.
It is our first time we conducted an emergency cesarean section in our facility in Barisa Sub-County Hospital since independence. And we'd like to urge the community to come and seek service in our facility. The service is free, and before we used to refer to Mandera and Takaba, but now we are going to do it here.
The successful procedure follows the recent upgrade of the hospital to a level 4 referral facility by the county government, which introduced essential departments such as theatre, radiology and pediatric wards. For Prime Edition, I am Teresa Mutai.
Tangu nishinde gari imenisaidia sana. Nimekuwa nikitumia kubebeba watu. Angalau naona life inabadilika. Sikosi angalau kwa siku.
Nilikuwa donda, nilikuwa tu msave hivi. Sasa hivi nina gari, naweza drive na naweza beba watu, naweza make my own money.
Mungu amekutoa kwa matatu hivyo.
Dial *570# option 4. Hapo kuna Pro Box. Na ina feel poa sana kuendesha gari ambayo unajua imechangia pakubwa kusaidia society. Unaweza nayo busy yako ya transportation, ida kubebea watu wa soko vitu, na iko sure by the end of the day uta make ends meet. Dial *570# option 4 na Pro Box ya kushindaniwa.
Welcome back. You're watching the Prime Edition, and civil societies have halted the law regulating operations of non-governmental organizations, the Public Benefits Organizations Act 2013 that came into effect in May this year, as progressive for the sector.
The Act provides for self-regulation for civil societies and also establishes a tribunal that will arbitrate complaints by the government or other players, especially for accountability and transparency purposes.
Details on this and other stories are making headlines. They're in our county news roundup.
The enactment of the Public Benefits Organization Act of 2013 in May 2024,
we are ensuring that the regulatory framework is reflective of the realities faced by Kenya's non-profit sector, ultimately empowering PBOs to make meaningful difference.
Meanwhile, Tourism and Wildlife Cabinet Secretary Rebecca Miano is optimistic that the multi-million shillings Ronald Ngala Utalii College in Kilifi County will commence training of the hospitality industry students beginning April of next year.
We will be admitting 3,000 students at a go per cohort. And so you can imagine the amount of training that we will have to place Kenya as the best in terms of training, hospitality training in the region.
The State Department of Public Service has confirmed the number of civil servants suffering from mental breakdown had risen from 4,000 at the height of COVID-19 to 14,000 per year.
We have started counseling centers in all Huduma centers. We have also started the telecounseling in the Huduma centers.
Elsewhere, youth have been urged to lead in promoting peace and unity and embrace diverse cultures.
To get involved in events such as this, as you will know, the entire of the week in this university, this whole week, will be exhibiting different aspects in the way that people express themselves.
Still in Kiambu County, a section of dairy farmers in Githunguri are decrying the increasing cases of theft of livestock in the area.
Julisheni mara moja na tutaweza kusaidia angalau
tuone hiyo ng'ombe ama hizo ng'ombe zimerejeshwa.
Finally, Makueni County is set to have an agricultural school that will see the region train learners on modern farming practices in a bid to increase food production in the county.
Jambo ambaye tumekuwa tukijadiliana na national government na mpaka wa sasa imefikia mahali wakatuambia ile tungependa sasa ni land ili tuweze kuestablish hiyo shule, na ndio tuweze kuallocate hiyo land ikawa ni mpaka tufanye public participation, na ndio sababu tukaita wakulima ili tujadiliane.
For Prime Edition, I'm Christine Matunda.
To our weekly features, cinemas and theatre. Laikipia County has been a hotbed of conflict pitting pastoralists and landowners, with recurring drought and climate change worsening the situation.
As the battle for resources intensifies, filmmakers are turning their lenses to this crisis, shedding light on the devastating impact of environmental degradation.
Tonight, we delve into the documentary, The Battle for Laikipia, which exposes the human cost of climate change and the fight for survival.
You know, as far as the eye can see, there's no human scar on the landscape, really.
The Battle for Laikipia, a documentary film, shines a spotlight on the tension between indigenous pastoralists and commercial ranchers in Kenya's Laikipia County. Directed by Daphne Matsiraki and Peter Muremi, the documentary explores the historical injustices that have shaped the region's dynamics. Indigenous Samburu pastoralists who have traditionally relied on the land for their livelihoods find themselves at odds with white landowners who have fenced off vast tracts of land for conservation and commercial purposes. The drought has further strained resources, pushing both communities to the brink.
At the beginning, Daphne, who's the co-director for this film, was living in Kenya. She was working for UNEP. And she saw the conflict that was happening up in Laikipia. But it was getting very little coverage, and the coverage that was getting was actually not exploring the issues in depth. And she was very keen to try and find out more and make a film about it. And in that extent, she talked to Tony, who's the producer for this film. And Tony put me and Daphne together. And that's when we started talking. And both of us were very keen to do this film. More importantly, we wanted to tell a story from both sides, because you know you have the white minority community who have most of the land, and the Samburu pastoralists who really are struggling to find grass and water.
Filmed over the course of 7 years, Battle for Laikipia producer Tony Kamau notes the documentary offers a balanced perspective, allowing both sides to voice their concerns and grievances. The Samburu people, who are struggling to sustain their livestock, highlight the impact of the shrinking grazing lands on their way of life. On the other hand, the white landowners express their fears of land invasions and the potential for violence as tensions escalate.
The Battle for Laikipia was filmed over the course of 5 years, from 2017, during an intense drought. That catalyzed a lot of conflict in the Laikipia region. And then we edited it for 2 years. So the Battle for Laikipia, it had team members from 3 continents. The advantage of working with such a multicultural and diverse team was that we were able to look at this story from various perspectives.
I think if this film had one director, it would not be what it is today, partly because combining our lived experiences, but combining our skills and combining the backgrounds that we both come from, I think made the film much more richer, and those very diverse perspectives.
If I can talk to leaders from England, you have citizens here in Kenya.
they should come and take them back.
The approach for the two directors, Daphne Matsiraki and Peter Moremi, was observational documentary filmmaking. And what that means is that they first gain access to potential characters. You know, there was Maria Dodds, who had been writing on a blog about what had been happening in Laikipia on her ranch. You know, Simeon Letole, who's one of our characters, had also spoken on news about what had been happening in Laikipia, you know, to the pastoralists. So what we first did was gain access to them and get permission. And then when we got that, we just spent time with them, you know, with the cameras.
It's really important, just especially for the Kenyan public, to know what are the issues and what are the underlying issues. I think that will go a long way. We want the viewers to understand that this conflict that's happening in Laikipia, it's not just about people fighting like this is my land. It's the pressures that are coming in from all angles.
This is our land and we have the right to protect it.
The documentary recently had a successful premiere during the NBO Film Festival. The filmmakers, however, note that despite the documentary having a good reception during its premiere, there is still a challenge of distribution of the documentary and films in general in the country.
I think for us it was such an incredible experience. The audiences had strong reactions, and it's because they genuinely loved the films. And we hope that the festival can get more support, because as Kenyan filmmakers, we really need good platforms for us to launch our films, you know, in the country, and for us to gather, you know, around Kenyan cinema and African cinema. We don't have so many spaces where our work is put first, and NBO puts our work first, and we all had an incredible time.
Nowadays they have an AK-47.
The Battle for Laikipia documentary sheds light on the devastating consequences of climate change, challenging its viewers to consider the broader implications of climate-related conflicts and the complex interplay of historical, social, and environmental factors. Jacqueline Masharia for Cinemas and Theatre.
All right, away from that comprehensive feature there by Jackie Masharia on our weekly feature, which is Cinemas and Theatre, we now quickly move to business. Warimu Njenga is on standby. Warimu, over to you.
Good evening, JJ, and thank you for bringing us the day's news. And as we take now a look at the day's business news, my name is Warimu Njenga, and we start off with innovators should patent their prototypes before commercializing them to avoid being duped. Institution of Engineers of Kenya, Second Vice President Engineer Christine Ogut says this is the main hindrance to adoption of local technologies, and that is also robs innovators of their livelihoods. Speaking at the ongoing IEK convention, Engineer Ogut challenged engineers to partner with learning institutions and set up incubation centers.
Commercializing, we have no system that is in place whereby the young people can be able now to push the idea forward to commercialize the idea that they have.
Investors would like to give support to these young people, and therefore they need to go out all the way and ensure that they actually are able to sell what they have come up with. But before they do that, they need to ensure that their product is properly patented and to ensure that nobody can steal their ideas.
Kenya cannot be developed by foreigners. Kenya can only be developed by Kenyans. And unless we grow this database, we grow the training of our members, we make our training to an international standard, we shall not be able to get there. Cognition of our members is going to be enhanced once the Engineers Board of Kenya is able to accede to the Washington Accord.
Engineers, just like doctors, do a lot of important work, and therefore they need to be recognized. And therefore this is something that will be followed up, just like the CS says. We are going to follow it up and ensure that it is done.
Plans are underway to invest 20 billion shillings at the Nairobi Gate Industrial Park to promote light manufacturing industries focusing on agro-processing, textile and apparel. 5.2 billion shillings has so far been invested in, among others, 130,000 square feet of modular warehouse units designed to accommodate both local and international businesses. Investment Cabinet Secretary Salim Vuria said Nairobi Gate Industrial Park is expected to play a key role in Kenya's manufacturing and logistics sector, attracting further foreign direct investment, particularly for bulk infrastructure projects.
Serikali yetu imefungua masoko mpya katika Afrika, katika Jumuiya ya Ulaya, katika sehemu ya Uingereza, na sasa pia tunafanya mkataba na serikali ya UAE kufungua soko mpya ili bidhaa zetu za kilimo ziweze kupata soko kule ng'ambo. Kwa hivyo ni mambo ambayo tunataka kuhimiza wawekezaji watumie hiyo fursa ili waweze kuingia katika hizo masoko na waweze kuuza bidhaa na wainue uchumi.
Now, the Competition Authority of Kenya has approved the acquisition of the National Bank of Kenya by Access Bank PLC on condition that the Nigerian lender retains at least 80% of NBK's current workforce for a period of 1 year. Betty Kiptum tells us more.
The Competition Authority of Kenya granted the approval for Access Bank PLC to acquire National Bank of Kenya from KCB based on the finding that the transaction is unlikely to negatively impact competition in the banking industry. To address concerns regarding employment, the authority says the parties have committed to retain at least 80% of the NBK's workforce and 100% of Access Bank Kenya employees for 1 year after completion of the transaction. Currently, National Bank of Kenya has 1,384 employees, while Access Bank Kenya PLC has 316 workers. Access Bank PLC is listed on the Nigerian Stock Exchange. It operates in Kenya under its subsidiary Access Bank Kenya PLC, a Tier 3 bank with a 0.2% market share, operating 23 branches across 12 counties. Post-merger, the market share of Access Bank Kenya PLC will increase from 0.2% to 1.9% and will be reclassified as Tier 2. The proposed acquisition was initially notified to the COMESA Competition Commission. However, CAK requested for and received referral to consider the transaction under the National Competition Law on grounds that the merging parties operate in the banking and bancassurance markets in Kenya and that the transaction will primarily affect the Kenyan market. CAK says the combined market size is unlikely to raise competition concerns. Additionally, the merged entity will face competition from other banks in Kenya. Betty Kiptum, Prime Edition.
Now, Kenyans working in South Sudan have urged the government to intervene and help level the business playing field. The business people have decried harassment, unpredictable tax regime and volatile forex markets. MSME's Cabinet Secretary Wycliffe Oparanya says Kenya will engage with authorities in Juba to address various non-tariff barriers hindering trade between Kenya and South Sudan. O'Brien Kimani is in Juba and has more. Now we take a short commercial break. We will be right back with that story and more.
Rahisisha uwezo wako wa ushindi kwa kukuwa memba wa Loto Moto, na ni rahisi. Dial *570#, chagua option 1. Ukiwa memba ni rahisi kufika kwenye jukwaa hili ili kujaribu mchezo wetu wa Loto Moto Show. Na pia kama memba unajipa nafasi rahisi ya kuingia kwenye promotion zetu zinazokupa nafasi ya kujishindia chapaa na zawadi kibao kama TV, friji, pikipiki, mashamba na pia magari. Kuwa memba ni *570# option 1. Tushinde kama members.
Welcome back. And now we head over to Juba, where Brian has been speaking to the Cabinet Secretary for MSMEs, Wycliffe Oparanya, and brings us the following story.
And with all these problems, therein lies a big opportunity.
Yeah.
There's a big opportunity, particularly for the Kenyan SMEs, to come and showcase. And they are doing booming business, I can tell you. They are really excited to be in Juba. These people need practically everything that we produce in Nairobi, in Kenya. And so I have seen the SMEs are upbeat. Whatever they have brought in here, all the countries are exhibiting, the East African countries are exhibiting, but Kenya is by far the largest contingent here.
Some of the issues that were raised by Kenyans are genuine, like exchange rates, and I feel very strongly that the issue of exchange rate can be dealt with at the summit level. Because if you have Kenya shillings, you can easily convert it into Uganda shillings and Tanzania shillings. Why should that not happen here? I feel this is the time for the East African community to have a central bank that will deal with such issues. I think the problem here that we do not have a specific bank, and I knew long time before that a monetary union was one of the main objectives of formation of the East African community. But you cannot have that unless you have a central bank that will deal with those issues. And I think as East African community, we should expedite to have a central bank specifically for East Africa community so that issues of foreign exchange is actually dealt with. Mm-hmm.
As industry players are calling for tailored incentives and a tax regime that will foster growth within the digital economy. Now, the Jumia East African Regional CEO, Vinod Goyal, says there is an urgent need for tax grants and concessions to nurture Kenya's e-commerce industry.
The e-commerce industry has been growing rapidly over the past decade, fueled by increased internet penetration at 40.8%, with 22.7 million users, making the country the largest e-commerce market in Africa.
In the past, we didn't see many people shopping online for their fashion needs, but we've started to see this come up. So your shoes, your clothes, your basics. So we've seen that quite grow. In terms of from a rural perspective, beauty is one of the highest growing categories, commanding about 16% of the revenue that we get from upcountry.
A lot of growth to be done in the industry. And we're in the middle of that growth. We're powering it, and our customers are accepting us more and more. Upcountry, people are beginning to see, I can get the same access of goods like I can in the capital city at the same price and at a higher convenience. So people are appreciating that.
While the e-commerce in Kenya has grown rapidly, the sector still faces significant challenges, including high logistical costs and an evolving regulatory environment.
What we have seen in the other markets is a lot of push, a lot of support from the government in terms of taxations, in terms of incentives, in terms of bringing e-commerce to the universities. And I think these are the initiatives we are looking forward so that e-commerce can grow faster in the country and the benefits can be reaped by a larger and larger population.
Trevor Ngende for Prime Edition.
To cap on the day's business news, my name is Doreen Mujenga. On the other end of the studio, we have Karen Kibet with the day's sports. Good night.
Thank you very much, Warimo Jenga, for keeping us up to speed with the latest in the world of business. My name is Karen Kibet. Let's now take a look at what's making headlines in the world of sports. Now, the national women's soccer team Harambee Starlets redeemed themselves in their final group match against Philippines, whom they beat 4-1 to register their first win in the Pink Ladies Cup tournament at the Imran Stadium in Antalya, Turkey.
The Kenyan team, coached by Beldin Odemba, took an early lead in the 6th minute through Elizabeth Mtukiza before Philippines scored an own goal in the 36th minute to give Kenya a 2-0 halftime lead. In the second half, the Asians earned their consolation via penalty before Harambee Starlets scored their third and fourth to complete the score sheet. Kenya kicked off their campaign with a 1-0 loss to Chinese Taipei before losing 4-0 to Russia in the second match. The event is the first international competition for Harambee Starlets this year since taking part in the Women's Africa Cup of Nations qualifier against Botswana in December last year. The Pink Ladies Cup has brought together teams from Africa, Asia and Europe. Meanwhile, back in Nairobi, 30 goalkeeper trainers are engaged in an elite CAF goalkeeping course at the Kenya Institute of Special Education under the tutelage of the esteemed coach educator Alejandro Reida, who is a renowned FIFA and CAF expert in goalkeeping. The course, which will run till Friday, aims to enhance skills and knowledge of goalkeeping coaches in the country, which is one of the key agendas of improving football in the country, according to FKF Vice President Doris Petra.
How it comes to that goalkeeper, the final person in the game, that we need somebody who is a goalkeeper trainer to train other goalkeepers. And you can see in this class, almost everyone was a goalkeeper during their time.
Kenya Simbas are already in residential camp in Kakamega in readiness for the 2024 Elgon Cup, where they'll be going for a complete sweep of the 2 legs. The first leg of the 2024 Elgon Cup was scheduled for this Saturday but was moved to the 9th of November this year in Nairobi, Kenya, following a consultative meeting between the Kenya Rugby Union and the Uganda Rugby Union. The second leg, which was scheduled on the 9th of November, has been moved to the 16th of the same month in Kampala, Uganda. The Kenya Simbas lost to the Uganda Cranes in Kampala last year, but managed to run away with a victory in the second leg in Kisumu. They hope to bag both legs this time round. Now, football fans will have a chance to pay their last respects to the late former Gor Mahia and Harambee Stars legend Austin Odwor in Kisumu next week. According to the family spokesperson Tobias Ochola, a requiem mass will be held on Friday next week in Kisumu, and thereafter members of the public and fans will have a chance to view the body and pay their last respects to the fallen legend. A funeral organizing committee chaired by Deputy Chief of Staff in charge of performance and delivery management in the office of the President, Eliud Owalo, is working round the clock to ensure the late Austin Odwor is given a befitting send-off.
They are part of the planning that we have accomplished today. The rest will meet again tomorrow. Then there will be a third meeting here at 4 Points Hotel in Hurlingham on Thursday to affirm what we'll have planned tomorrow again. Then that will take us to the Harambee. We are asking the well-wishers, the friends of the late Austin, to come in large numbers on the 5th, so that we get what we can get and make sure that we give the late a decent burial as we finish the journey.
Napoli maintained their lead in the Serie A when they beat AC Milan 2-0 in their own backyard. Goals from both Romelu Lukaku and Havica ensured their win that saw Antonio Conte's side extend their lead by 7 points in the league table. Cagliari also lost to Bologna by the same margin in another match.
It's through here, Lukaku! He always... Still, Kvaratskhelia! Kvaratskhelia rested on Saturday, fresh this evening, and 2 of Napoli's big hitters have done the damage.
James Breeze scored an 88th minute winner as Southampton beat Championship side Stoke City 3-2 to book their place in the quarterfinals of the Carabao Cup. In another match, Brentford beat Sheffield on Wednesday on penalties to progress to the last 8 after a 1-1 draw. And those were all the sports stories we had for you tonight. My name is Karen Kibet. I'll see you tomorrow with more sports news. For now, I hand you back to my colleagues, John, Kioria and Doreen. Kioria.
Thank you very much, Karen Kibet. And of course, this ends the Prime Edition. Thank you very much for joining us. Doreen, do you want to say goodbye?
We say goodbye. What else can we say? All right, time for us to exit, sit down for normal programming of the night. This has been Prime Edition. I'm Doreen Arange. Lucy Maura has been our sign language interpreter. Good night.
Have yourself a fantastic night. Good night.
Welcome to the Kenya Deposit Insurance Corporation, or KDIC, a state corporation established under the KDI Act Cap 487C. But who exactly are we? KDIC provides a deposit insurance for customers of member institutions.